The laughter echoed across the quiet hospital hallway. Ethan Carter, a young millionaire known for his sharp suits and sharper tongue, leaned back in his chair and laughed as if someone had just told the greatest joke of the year. "You're saying I'm the father," he said, wiping imaginary tears from his eyes. Standing in front of him was Grace Miller, pale from exhaustion, holding a newborn wrapped in a thin hospital blanket. Her hands trembled, but her voice stayed steady. "Yes, Ethan, you are." But Ethan shook his head, still smiling arrogantly. "Grace, do you know how many people want money from me? This is a new one, a baby," he scoffed. "Nice try." Grace felt the words slice through her like glass. 10 hours earlier, she had gone through the most painful night of her life bringing their son into the world. But the man she once loved couldn't even look at the child. "I'm not asking for money," she whispered. "I just thought you deserved to know." Ethan stood up, straightened his expensive jacket, and glanced briefly at the baby. "Then consider me informed," he said coldly. "But don't ever come to me again with this story." And with that, the father walked away from his son, before even knowing his name. Grace named the baby Noah. Life after that day was brutally difficult. Grace had once believed Ethan loved her when they met years earlier at a charity event where she worked as a volunteer nurse. For a few months, their worlds collided, hers full of compassion and simplicity, his full of wealth and ambition. But when she became pregnant, everything changed. Grace moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. She worked double shifts at the hospital while raising Noah alone. Some nights she barely slept, rocking Noah while studying medical notes or paying overdue bills. There were moments when she almost gave up. But Noah's small hands grabbing her finger reminded her why she had to keep going. "It's just you and me, little one," she would whisper, "and that's enough." When Noah was 3, Grace met Daniel Brooks. Daniel worked as a mechanic in a small garage nearby. He was a widower who had lost his wife in a car accident 2 years earlier. The first time he met Noah, the boy had wandered into his garage chasing a red toy car. Daniel knelt down and handed it back. "You dropped this, champ." Noah grinned. Grace rushed in seconds later, embarrassed. "I'm so sorry, he runs everywhere." Daniel smiled warmly. "Don't worry, my place could use more laughter." What started as casual conversation slowly turned into friendship. Daniel never asked about Noah's father. He never judged Grace. Instead, he helped fix her broken car without charging a dime and sometimes brought dinner when he knew she worked late shifts. And most importantly, he treated Noah like he mattered. By the time Noah turned 5, Daniel had become the most important man in the boy's life. One evening, while they were fixing a small bicycle together, Noah looked up at Daniel and asked softly, "Can I call you Dad?" Daniel froze. Grace stood in the doorway, tears filling her eyes. Daniel swallowed hard and smiled gently. "If your mom says it's okay, I'd be honored." Grace nodded through her tears. And that night, Noah finally had a father. Meanwhile, Ethan Carter's life looked perfect from the outside. His company grew into a multi-million-dollar empire. He owned luxury homes, sports cars, and appeared in magazines as one of the city's most successful businessmen. But his personal life told another story. Relationships failed one after another. His fiancée left him 2 months before their wedding, saying he was emotionally empty. Late at night, when the parties ended and the house went quiet, Ethan often sat alone staring at the city lights. Success had brought him everything, except peace. Still, he never thought about Grace again. Until 10 years later. It happened during a charity event for underprivileged children. Ethan had donated a large sum to sponsor a community center renovation. Cameras flashed as he shook hands and gave speeches about giving back. Then something caught his attention across the room. A boy about 10 years old stood near a display board, proudly presenting a small robotics project. His dark hair, sharp eyes, and confident posture felt strangely familiar. Ethan felt a strange pull. He walked closer. The boy was speaking to another man beside him. "Dad, look, it works now." The man next to him, Daniel, laughed proudly. "I knew you, figure it out, Noah." Ethan froze. Noah. The name hit him like thunder. Grace stepped forward moments later, smiling proudly at her son. And suddenly, Ethan realized what he was looking at. The child he once laughed at. His son. 10 years old. Brilliant, confident, and calling another man dad. Ethan couldn't move. Memories of that hospital hallway crashed into his mind. His laughter. Grace's tired face. The tiny baby in the blanket. For the first time in his life, Ethan Carter felt something stronger than pride. Regret. Later that evening, Ethan approached them. Grace recognized him instantly. Her smile faded. Noah looked between the adults, confused. Ethan's voice trembled slightly. "Grace, it's been a long time." Daniel instinctively placed a protective hand on Noah's shoulder. "What do you want?" Grace asked calmly. Ethan looked at the boy. "My son." Grace shook her head. "You lost the right to say that 10 years ago." Noah looked up at Daniel. "Dad, who is this man?" The word cut Ethan deeper than any insult. Daniel squeezed Noah's shoulder gently. "Just someone from the past." That night, Ethan sat alone in his penthouse again. But this time, the silence felt unbearable. He replayed the moment over and over. His son calling another man dad. And realizing that man had earned it. Not with money, but with love. Over the next months, Ethan tried to do something he had never done before. He changed. He volunteered at the community center regularly, not for publicity, but to understand the life he had ignored. Eventually, Grace noticed. Daniel noticed too. And slowly, they allowed Ethan to be around, not as a father replacing someone, but as a man trying to take responsibility for a mistake. One afternoon, Noah asked him a question. "Why weren't you around before?" Ethan took a deep breath. "Because I was selfish," he admitted, "and I didn't understand what really mattered." Noah thought about it quietly. Then he said something Ethan would never forget. "Well, you can still learn." Years later, Noah grew into a remarkable young man. He often said he was lucky to have two fathers. One who taught him how to build machines, and another who taught him how to rebuild broken choices. Because sometimes the greatest lesson in life isn't success. It's realizing, before it's too late, that love, responsibility, and humility are the true measures of a man.